Assalamualaikum, Namaste, welcome to a very special episode of the Pakistan Experience. Episode शुरू होने से पहले ही episode शुरू हो चुकी है क्योंकि हम discussions करने शुरू कर दिया है हमने और हमें भी हम क्या बात करने जा रहे हैं. But first of all, Bollywood का उभरता हुआ सितारा. I don't know if you've been described as such yet. I'm sure somebody has probably made that effort. But Joyeeta Dutta is here with us. How are you doing, Joyeeta?
I'm very well. Thank you so much, Hazal. How are you doing?
Good. I think a suitable boy अब तक तो सबने देख लिया होगा. तो तस्नीम is here with us. हम already discussion शुरू कर चुके हैं. तो let's just jump into what we were discussing before we started. ये कितना मुश्किल होता है normal जिंदगी जीते हुए and then be like oh Zoom call है and then you have to. I know performative बहुत pejoratively loves use होता है, but even as a comedian, as a performer, you do have to put on a face, even if it's that performer face, and now I need to stop thinking about my life, to stop thinking about मेरे अम्मा ने मुझे क्या गालियाँ दी थी, and I have to be this happy person online. How difficult is that to do?
I think there are like two sides to it. I mean, on one hand, there are days when you have to pull yourself up for it and drag yourself to it. But I think it's also a little bit of a high, right? Like right before this call, I'm like, oh, it's almost the end of the day. It's been a long day. I'm dead inside. But now I'm like putting makeup and getting ready to, be all excited. But right now, while having this conversation, I think it's a two-way energy and it just flows. So I think it works both ways. Sometimes you have to push yourself and sometimes you just get pulled into it.
Yeah, itna koi mega relate kiya na Joyeeta ke saath when she was like, we're dead inside, like same. I like how this is a common theme. Ekta and I were just on call and we were talking about how we're also both dead inside and nahi hota hi nahi hai, but ye jo aake performative banna padta hai, obviously less for me and Ekta because we rarely do this, but when we do it's just like, oh hi. Ekta has a specific term for me, which is PR bitch, which is like I have to like snap into that mode and like deal with stuff. But yeah, it's
yeah.
hard.
I just called Sajid before this call, and I was like, Sajid, I don't know if I should come or not, just because. And then I was like, like I'm so into Bollywood that it's not even funny. And like, if this was me in 2020, I would have probably killed someone to do this. But like, it's like, yeah. क्या जिंदगी ने कहाँ पहुंचा दिया, like everything is so exhausting, and I think a lot of it has to also do with like just post COVID nothing is like, I don't know if it's just me and like imposing my depression on everybody, but I also feel like things that used to have so much value or that you thought would be like the ultimate for you just kind of have disintegrated, and like priorities itni alag ho gayi hai that it's just difficult to calibrate everything that means something to you or doesn't mean something to you anymore.
Good job on finding a cloud on every silver lining. Joyeeta did not fall for our clickbait trap. I was hoping she will say bahut struggles hai, and then we'll crop it out and be like struggles. Zoom call struggles.
I think it's an easier route to take, right? Also sometimes, I mean, being clinically depressed is one thing, but also on the other hand, it sort of can get habitual to just be not up in your spirits. It's the easier thing to do. Like, I mean, it's like sleeping in the morning. You start sleeping in and you keep just waking up even later and later, and it becomes a habit. So I think sometimes, and this is not the rule, but sometimes the harder thing might be the right thing, and maybe pushing your spirits could be one of those things. It's not a bad thing.
Why are you personally attacking me, Joyeeta? We've just gotten to know. ठीक है मैं आज 4 बजे उठ रहा हूँ, but issues होते हैं life में.
No wonder, which is why the call is scheduled for this time.
I had another podcast with you.
A while so that you can't hear my growling monster stomach. I think we'll change roles. I think I've become the comedian.
You've become everything. So you were at McKinsey and then you switched into this. Kya awakening आई? Did you watch Tamasha and were like ये रणबीर कपूर बिल्कुल सही बात कर रहा है?
No, I mean, to be honest, maybe 2 years later, if you still decide to have me on your show, I might be doing something else. Like I could become a hairstylist for all you know. I don't know. So I think how it happened was that I was always interested in the idea of being a performer. I like the idea of performing. So I've never thought of acting in particular. I've grown up being on stage, debating in school, acting and all of that. But at the same time, I never thought about it as a career option because I am from Assam and that's where I grew up. And if you understand a little bit of India, that's basically in the geopolitical peripheries of India. So it's not much a part of mainstream India, as problematic as that sounds. So culturally, economically, and socially. So that reflects on culture and media as well. So I never saw examples of people from where I am growing up in the movies. So I saw Sri Devi and a Madhuri, but I never saw an Assamese girl in Hindi cinema. So I never thought of that as a possibility. And when you don't have examples of people from where you're from, I don't think it's something that you even think about. So I didn't think it's a livelihood. I thought that, yeah, it's something that you do on the side. And I was always academically inclined, nerd alert. So one thing led to the other. So school and then LSR, and then right after that, I got a job. So I was there. But at that time, when I had all the right things to do and the tick marks on my checklist, I thought if there's anything that I could do without worrying about the practicality of whether it's going to work or not, what would I want to do? And I had two things on my list. One was diplomacy and the other one was acting. And I tried to reach out to people, and one thing led to the other. And I auditioned for a musical that Mira Nair was directing. It's called a Monsoon wedding musical. And when I got that gig, I had to leave my job if I wanted to do the musical. So that's how it began.
You're making me question my life choices, because despite doing theater for a decade, मैंने कभी सोचा भी नहीं musical करने का, because it's really the most difficult art form. People go to college and then train. Like, I genuinely feel people right now on stage on Broadway are the most talented people in the world, because if you're singing, dancing, acting at the same time in the same single moment, मतलब उससे बेहतर क्या चीज हो सकती है. सो ये मतलब हम लोग अपनी डिग्री जाया कर रहे हैं. यू वर वर्किंग एट मैकेंजी एंड लाइक मैंने ऑडिशन किया एंड आई गॉट द रोल. ये इतने आसानी से कैसे हो गया? इज इट जस्ट टैलेंट?
No, I think a lot of it is luck also, maybe. I think there are way more talented singers and artists and dancers and actors out there. I think I was a right fit for the role in terms of the character. I was playing a young girl, and the age and the sort of character that Mira was looking for was something that I could probably fit into, which is why I think it all worked out. So it's not only a skills-based thing, I would say. It also depends on other various factors like a right fit, a stroke of luck that I happened to be auditioned by the casting director and went on to the next round. So there may be a singer, dancer somewhere who is not even explored yet. And I think I could also take that risk because of my mentors. I leech on to people who I'm inspired by. So I had a friend who's actually very interesting. He left when he was in college. He started a gaming app, and he went on to get featured in Forbes 30 under 30. So he was someone who I hold responsible for not having a job today. So pay me, Yashash. But yeah, I think it was just knowing that this is the right time to take a risk, because if I get comfortable in my job 4 years down the line with the kind of money I'd be making and the security that I would have, I don't think I'd have it in me to take the leap. But having said that, I have to also admit that it is a very uncertain career. And I finished shooting for Suitable Boy in 2019, and the year after that was a lockdown. So the show came out in the midst of the pandemic. And anyway, it's an uncertain career, and with COVID, it's not been great at all. So I don't have any sort of certainties of whether this is something I'm going to do forever or not. As long as I enjoy it and it seems to be something that I'm still passionate about and can pay my bills with, I think that's an important way to look at things.
When you don't have that kind of certainty, like your like the biggest project came out in during the pandemic, and then there isn't that sort of security and certainty. What makes you keep going? Like, do you like embrace the uncertainty? Do you sort of have like a backup plan in that case? Like, kya see?
Oh, I cry. I howl. I sleep.
ना कोई
I
देसी पेरेंट टाइप सवाल पूछा है ना सजीर ने। नहीं बेटा, एक्टिंग तो करती हैं पर नौकरी क्या है मतलब।
No, I mean, I think, and this is something that a lot of people actually, I mean, no one talks about it really, at least not publicly. I mean, I've heard very few people talk about how uncertain it is and what you do on a day-to-day basis when you don't have a gig that you're going to. But luckily, because I was also training with a theater director for about 2 years when I was in Delhi, uh, I got introduced to the idea of sort of practicing your craft, and that's something which is so much more fun when you're in a group, when you're in a theater group, because the last 2 years, like, picking up books and just practicing monologues on your own can get a little tedious. So I think one way to keep yourself motivated is definitely by indulging in books, in poetry, in movies, in art, in life in general. And you have to keep practicing and doing your riyaz, because, like, for example, a singer, classical singer, wakes up and does her riyaz, and uh, not many actors sort of take that very seriously. And I'm thankful to my mentors for having drilled that idea and notion into my head. But at the same time, I feel like there are different kinds of people. There are some people who only eat, sleep, breathe acting, and that's the only thing that they can and want to do. But then you have someone like Shehzad, right? Like, who is an actor and is also a comedian, and I don't know what else. So there are people who sort of pursue different things one at a time or simultaneously to keep the boat rowing, I suppose.
मुझे किसी चीज में कोई लिफ्ट नहीं करा रहा ना, इसलिए मैं सारे परसू कर रहा हूँ। I'm like कहीं तो दाल कर जाएगी।
Let's have a conversation after this on like alternate career possibilities for me.
ये consultancy, career consultancy and counseling.
Yeah, and very international for me. Like, I'm getting it from Pakistan.
Go on.
Yeah, I actually have more of a logistical question, which is like, when you do something which is on a platform like Netflix, and then like, so there's this whole like main lead and like side character kind of a situation jo वैसे भी like pan out hota hai in any industry for that matter. But like, if you do something like this on Netflix, how much do people notice you? And by that I mean like in terms of casting directors or stuff like that, like, and especially because it's a Mira Nair movie, so or show, movie show. But I watched it in 2020, so I don't remember. But how much do you get noticed from that? And then how does that like? And I understand that with COVID, to uski like restriction और भी ज़्यादा हो जाती है. So like, how does that work for you?
So it's surprising how really small the industry actually is. So everybody sort of knows everybody, and even if you're really, really new. So speaking for myself, I was completely from nowhere, and I played a very supporting part, a very small part in a really big show. And I wasn't sure how things are going to pan out after this. Well, heart of hearts, I was hoping that, I'm going to get a call from Karan Johar tomorrow. But I mean, I didn't know, like, I have to be all modest, like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. But it's really surprising how small the industry is. So all casting directors have since then reached out for auditions for, I mean, the major casting offices in Bombay had started reaching out for auditions, and I started testing ever since I finished shooting for Suitable. So it was pretty surprising that, they know everybody is on their radar. And it makes you also realize that it's important for you to do your homework and know who everybody else is. So I think that's a two-way thing that keeps you a part of the industry. It's important to know who's who, and you shouldn't be confused when you hear about some actor. It doesn't actually make you a great person that, oh, I don't know about this actor who was in this show. It doesn't really reflect well, especially when people know who's who and who's doing, even like who's just started out and played this one character somewhere. So I think it's about making a mark by yourself when you are performing. And once you've done that, people do take notice and they keep auditioning you for projects. And then it's about finding the right fit, again, for a character, for a show.
I have a question. So basically,
Sajid, we all know what question you really want to ask.
Yes, I will ask that.
I also know what she really wants to ask.
So just ask what you really want to ask.
Okay, well, जोईता से पहले पूछ भी चुकी हूँ शाहरुख. मुझे जोईता को और एकता को शाहरुख खान बहुत पसंद है. ये मैं जोईता से बात भी कर चुकी हूँ. We love Shahrukh Khan. Have you met him yet, by the way?
No, I haven't, and his house is there.
Where?
There. In
ये
here.
Google मैप भेज सकती हैं आप सजीर को.
मैं भेज देती हूँ.
I know Mannat is okay. I just don't know where Joyeeta's house is. Mannat तो मैं ढूंढ लूंगी किसी तरह India पहुंची तो. But when are you meeting Shahrukh Khan, Joyeeta?
I just found out that a young girl, a friend of mine, who's also just starting out, she's doing a movie with Shahrukh Khan. Like, I mean, the other day we were out together, we had gone for a gig, and I was like, so and so, tell me, what project are you doing next? And she's like, this movie. I said, who's in it? And she said Shahrukh Khan. And I almost fell off my chair out of excitement, jealousy, all of that. I was like, how? I thought, like, you know, now people of our age would probably not get to act with Shahrukh Khan now, but it's still a possibility. So I'm still hoping.
आज मेरे पास Netflix है, मीरा नायर है, थिएटर है, तेरे पास क्या है? शाहरुख खान. Oh shit.
No, but I get it. Like, I would be offended also. Like, मैं तो rage में ही, like, if Sajid told me she met Shahrukh Khan, I would genuinely murder her out of pure rage, just because, like,
didn't you meet Shahrukh Khan और तुमने Shahrukh Khan को attitude दिखा दिया था?
Yeah, I did.
You met him?
Yeah. Okay, story time, I guess. So I was flying from London to Dubai, and airport पर हम लोग check-in counter पर थे, and I feel like I've told this story so many times, but खैर हम लोग check-in counter पे थे और वो कहते हैं, oh, do you know Shahrukh Khan? And we're like, yeah, like, obviously शक्ल से एक तो नाम एकता, ऊपर से like everyone thinks I'm Indian anyway, so I was like, yeah. And then he was like, oh, he's upstairs in the lounge. And we were also gonna go sit in the same lounge, and I was like, stop, like, I'm gonna die. And like वहां से लेकर like lounge तक मेरे like सारे emotions, rona, almost crying, सब हो गया. And I was like, okay, like, Deepika was with him. They were doing promotions for Chennai Express. So we go to the lounge, and I was here and he was on the sofa, like, right behind me. And I was like, okay, like, we went up to him, and I mean, I'm sure he had a bunch of fans coming up to him anyway, so he was kind of like annoyed, but like, I was like, oh, can I get a picture or whatever? And his security guard sort of came up, and he was like, you know, not right now, like a very like fuck off kind of an attitude. And I was like, you're not Shahrukh Khan, like what the fuck is this? So I kind of just got a little pissed, because I was like, listen, like, he might be Shahrukh Khan, but I'm also like, and I was what, like 12 years old, or like, I was like, हाँ होगा Shahrukh Khan, तो
अपने घर में होगा,
अपने घर में शाहरुख खान होगा, मैं जाके उसकी मूवीज देखती हूँ. I have equal agency to go and talk to him when I want to talk to him. खैर, तो ये वाली सारी bullshit हुई. And then after, he was so sweet, after 10-15 minutes वो बेचारा अपना कोई काम कर रहा था. He came up and he was like, oh, we'll get a picture and whatever. And we got a picture, and he was like, I'll come back and speak to you guys. And I had gotten pissed by then. I was like, kis kisam ka attitude hai, what star behavior is this, whatever. And I'm 12. And I just picked up my bag, and I was like, you know what? I told my family was with me. I was like, you know what? You guys wait for him. I'm not waiting for Shahrukh Khan. Like, I don't give a fuck. And I took my bag and I just walked away. I fucking walked away from Shahrukh Khan. And he comes up to my mom, and he's like, "Wo aapki beti kidhar gayi, whatever." And my mom's like, she got pissed, and she went, and she was like, he was like, "Aapke, like, is gussa in your family? Like, what's wrong with her?" And she was like, yeah, a little bit of attitude problem she has. And then I left. So yeah,
yes, I'm really impressed.
Yeah, I mean, in retrospect, it's a cool story, but like now that I'm ready to tattoo Shahrukh Khan's face on my ass, I kind of regret it, right? Because I'm like, matlab, इतना मोहब्बत अब क्या फायदा अगर एटीट्यूड थ्रो कर दिया पहले.
I like young Ekta over Adil and Batrik Ekta like 100 times over.
No, but it's because
that I would probably, like Sajid, you asked when are you going to meet him? And now I think I'm inspired by that 12-year-old Ekta, and I'm going to be like, you know what? I love him and I don't want to meet him. I'm okay not meeting him because that's we don't want closure in the love story. Where's that desire and want going to be? And anyway, when I meet him, am I going to have a long ass conversation with him, like how it happened in Before Sunrise and all of that? I'm not going to get that time, so it's just going to be like, hi, I love you, and that's pretty insipid for a conversation. So I may as well not meet him.
I want to add something.
So Joyeeta, what you're saying is एक तरफा मोहब्बत की अपनी ताकत होती है.
Yeah. But also, I feel like
Sajid and I, he disappoints you.
Exactly. Sajid and I have this conversation about Shahrukh Khan ever so often, which is totally not healthy, but it's our pastime. So Sajid and I were talking about this, and I was like, "Hame Shahrukh Khan, like, the idea of Shahrukh Khan and whatever, it's the idea of this individual that titillates us." But like, I feel like if we were to actually meet him, A, what if it's disappointing? B, I want to be friends with him. Like, I don't want him to think like, oh, like fan aa gayi, behosh ho jayegi type. Yeah, right? Like, I don't want to be categorized as just another fan. Like, I want to sit with him in his library and talk to him and like indulge in illicit drugs with him. And that's my plan. So like, unless it's that, it's just disappointing.
I think
I'm gonna do the whole, the fox who didn't get the grapes thing, because everyone I know who's met him has told me only good things. So I know I won't get disappointed. So I'm just going to lie to myself and tell myself that it could be, but I know it's not going to be disappointing, but I have to convince myself with the story. So yeah.
Young Ekta की जो entitlement थी कि ये शाहरुख खान कौन है जो एकता को मुड़ के नहीं देख रहा, जो तुम पू बन गई थी, that's only grown because now you're like, I don't want to be outside Mannat waving at him. मैंने drugs करने हैं शाहरुख खान के साथ. That you're doing in Shahrukh Khan's home. You're like, मैं कोई एमी थोड़ी से मिलूंगी autograph लेने. Shahrukh Khan should call Ekta and be like, bro, नया माल आया है, come over, just पीते हैं.
If it's not that, is it even a meeting? Like, I'm not even like, when I say this, people think I'm like, oh, like Sajid will get it. Like, people think I'm like बहुत hopeful or ये वो, but I feel like I can be friends with him. Like, I'm cool enough to be friends with him and we can have a nice conversation. So why not?
If we just twist this discussion a little, recently मैंने Katrina Kaif की एक clip देखी थी. She was walking out of a shoot and somebody like Ekta was in the stand, was like, hey Katrina, hey picture, Katrina, picture, hey Katrina, and she was just hiding her face and going into the garden like, हाँ बड़ी अपने आप को actress समझती है, हमारी वजह से तू Katrina है. And then she turned around and she was like, I just got done with a 14-hour shoot, like what is wrong with you? So sometimes when we meet these people, we feel like this entitlement कि हाँ हम तेरी टिकटें लेते हैं, but you don't know what they've gone through that day, what is happening in their life, and what it will take for them to just stop and talk to everybody for 5 minutes. So have you experienced that entitlement so far, Joyeeta? And what's your take on it?
Not at all. I mean, I was reading. I was just surprised the other day when someone at a coffee shop recognized me with my mask on. And that was the highlight of my day. So I got the kicks out of it. I want everyone to disturb me at this point in time. But that's not happening.
You wish for.
Because I'm always hanging out with actors who are like, who've been in the industry or so much more famous. So I end up taking the fan and that actor's photo. So till now, I'm not getting. So I don't even have like my full foot into Bollywood because, I mean, Mira Nair is not Bollywood per se, right? And even the last project, I just shot for a project which is, it's still being, it's on the table right now, on the edit right now. But even that director, her name is Reema Das, more of an independent filmmaker. Again, she made Village Rockstars. I don't know if you've seen that movie. It's wonderful. So, but I was actually reading Nasiruddin Shah's autobiography, and he talks about how he's talking about a time at a different time, a little like maybe 10 years ago, I'm not very sure, but he talks about how this is so not right, and understanding that other side of a person who's talking about his private space, that, when he's going to dinner, it's his personal space, and it is nobody's right to encroach it, even if he's a public figure. And having read his thoughts on it was pretty interesting, because, I've always felt, what's your problem? Why don't you just give in to what the people want? But it's actually important to take note of that's case.
That mask that you were talking about, yes, when you want to do it, it's quite, you're excited about it. But अगर आप alone time में आपने वो mask उतारा हुआ है, you don't want to build that persona, and you're with yourself for that little while, and when that is disturbed, I get their perspective. मुझे nerd relate हो रहा है क्योंकि मैं खुद nerd हूँ. मैंने भी जब theater करना शुरू किया, I was like, degree कर लेते हैं, अगर करना है तो पढ़ना है. So when you say you had this downtime, did your nerd instincts also kick in, and you were like, अब तो मैं Stanislavski भी पढ़ूंगी, अब तो मैं actor सारी चीजें पढ़ूंगी? And if you did, are you still modulating how much you're in your head and how much you're in your body relying on your acting instincts, and how much you're consciously thinking about it or following a certain method?
So in fact, the current book that I'm reading it's called The Indian Method in Acting. It's by the writer is Prasanna, who's also a theater director in India and a very renowned one. So it's very interesting to read this book, because I think context is so important when you're reading Stanislavski or anybody else for that matter. It is from a different context and you have to contextualize it for yourself. But this book, and I'd love to share it with you. I don't know if it's available online, but we can try to figure out how you can get your hands onto it if you're interested, because it's rooted in the Indian society and the way we understand things. And I'm pretty hooked onto this book right now. But when you ask me, where is it in the head, in the body, and my own method, I think it's something that's hard to put into words, especially for someone. I'm aware that I've just really started out. So nothing is really set in stone for me, and I'm constantly exploring, because when I'm doing something on my own also, it is far different from when I was in set in January, and in the whole situation of being on a set and there are co-actors and a bunch of other people and a camera on your face and the clap goes. It's you don't even know, some of the things are probably happening really unconsciously. So I think you constantly have to keep learning these things, and then you have to let go. But I think what I've been really trying to practice for myself is using the body more and more, because, and this is something that my mentor NK Sharma, when I was in the theater group in Delhi, also always taught us that, speech comes after the body, and you can't just learn your lines and go and say the lines, because that anybody can do. So you're an actor, you have to be acting. So there are very interesting concepts that this book has as well. So I think in terms of a process, I'm constantly trying to pick up things from here and then see what works for me. I do those things, and also try to experiment with the new things that I'm constantly reading about. So that is then, it's interesting to know that it's not all instinct. It's actually a very mechanical art form, that you have to plan everything in advance, and it just doesn't happen instinctively.
I have a question. So in treating it like an art form, you also mentioned earlier that you were kind of expecting that call from Karan Johar and stuff. And how much of what you do you disassociate from what commercial cinema is versus you doing something that Mira Nair has done, or the current director that you're working with? And do you have that distinction as to I want to be something for example, what Deepika is doing, or what these other contemporaries, I mean, Deepika is quite old, but do you want to follow the commercial cinema route? But can we not say she's old? She's old only, okay, anyways, but can we not?
Shahrukh Khan fan says Deepika is a has-been.
No, she's not a has-been. She's doing great.
Rajiv Masant के कल के column में ये लिखा हुआ है.
Yeah, no, but please complete your question. Yeah,
I was just asking, do you have that commercial versus parallel cinema distinction, or do you see that getting blurred in Bollywood and even in your own understanding, or do you want that dharma launch and stuff like that? Do you think about something like that?
Yeah, so my opinion is that this distinction between art house cinema and commercial cinema is a flawed and a false dichotomy that does not exist. Because the only difference that exists in different kinds of cinema essentially is the amount of money the production has that makes it technically a commercial film. So if your budget is 100 crores versus 1 crore, that's the distinction. Okay, and that is something which is not in my control, as I'm not the producer. So for me, I make the distinction between a good film and a bad film, because there can be a commercial film that is an intelligent, good film with great performances, and there can be an independent film that is a really shitty film. So I don't believe in the distinction of commercial versus art house cinema at all, because, and I can give you, and especially as an actor, I don't have that conversation. Maybe a producer will have that. I mean, if you look at Vicky Kaushal, he's someone who started with a Masan and now is doing really big budget films. So I think like a Sardar Udham directed by Shujit Sarkar. So I want to do good films. I mean, nobody wants to do bad films, but I think what I'm trying to say is that I've grown up watching commercial Hindi cinema, right? And then after I got into the world of acting, I was introduced to cinema from across the world that I probably wouldn't have otherwise known about or heard of, because they're not so commercial. So I want to do good films. So I would want to do a Mira Nair. I would want to do a Rima Das. Like, it's luck that this has happened to me. Both Rima and Mira are directors who are women from India, whose movies have been nominated for Oscars, or like Rima's movie was India's official entry to the Oscars about 3 years ago. And they're clubbed into this idea of art house cinema. But I would totally love to work with a Zoya Akhtar or an Anurag Kashyap or a Karan Johar too, if it's a film that excites me, where I have a role that's making some sense in the story. So I would want to do it all, because I've grown up seeing something and I'm inspired by the performances in other films as well.
I think maybe the more pertinent question is, obviously, if it's a good film with a great role, it doesn't matter, baki cheeze to work themselves out. But if you know it's a bad movie, but you know it's a Karan Johar movie, and you know Shahrukh Khan is opposite, आप वो कड़वा घूट पी लेंगे कि ठीक है यार, कर लेती हूँ.
Again, like if I think if there is a sensible part for me to do, and I'm getting to work with Shahrukh Khan and it's Karan Johar, I would definitely do it. I'm not that person who is overly critical about commercial cinema, no. And it gives you a lot of money to pay your bills for a very long time. So, and having done something like this will also give me the opportunity tomorrow and the freedom to work with a director who might not have a really big budget, like even a young student who's making a film maybe, and who has a really interesting role of some dacoit somewhere in Chambal, a character that we haven't seen a girl perform. I would totally do that. And I would get the freedom to do a film with very little money because I would have probably made some money in a bigger commercial film. But I mean, all of this is really easy to say. I mean, I'm totally willing to do anything right now. Honestly, because I think, and then work gets you work in this industry, because it's not a very, because I've been in the corporate world where it's all about networking, and you do the right job after a certain stipulated period, you get a promotion, or you have LinkedIn and you keep like sending CVs for job openings. This, on the other hand, is completely uncertain. You're not always aware of all the projects that are being auditioned for right now, who the casting director for what is. So you don't always know what's going on. And it's not a very direct path. It's not an organized sector that way. So it's important to keep doing work so that that work gets you more work, and eventually you'll have the freedom to sort of pick and choose.
And ऐसे हम लोग ज़्यादा cool हो गए as audiences. We all grew up on DDLJ. We all grew up on कुछ कुछ होता है. We all grew up on दिल तो पागल है. We all love these movies and would love the chance to be a part of these movies. जी Sajid.
I was going to say that there's a lot of networking in the corporate sector, but to give some context, again, like if I'm working in media, like I do have to attend certain low key parties or events or something, ताकि like या तो आप in conversation रहो, आप उनकी conversation के बारे में भी बात कर सको, etc., etc. I'm coming from a more like entertainment journalist perspective. I imagine it's different for actors. But is there ever that pressure कि you know मुझे जाके socialize करना है, मुझे इन events पे दिखना है, मुझे network करना है ताकि people do keep seeing me in these events as well, and they know that I am still here, and you know I have this wide network as well. And does that ever get exhausting?
That there is a pressure to do that, to answer your first question, especially because see, now the industry is location specific. It's based in Bombay, and I was in Delhi for about you know, a good part of my time since school. So I only made the move to Bombay in September last year. It's not even been half a year since I've moved to Bombay, and and because of having moved to the city, I do feel that pressure that, you know, I need to know people, meet people, tell them that I exist. And in that process is when I got to know that, you know, oh, casting directors know me. Oh yeah, I've already auditioned with them. And you're speaking to some superstar's agent, and she tells you that she knows you, and you're not expecting that at all because, you know, you're here introducing yourself. So the pressure is there. But for me, I think I'm not daunted by the pressure because I know that I thrive in social settings, and that's just how I am. So I don't find it difficult to meet someone and have a conversation. I pretty much enjoy it. So it doesn't burden me that way, because I think I could probably, again, find an alternate career where I just broker, I act as a broker between people and introduce people to people, because I pretty much enjoy being that social person. But yeah, I there is that pressure to sort of make sure that everybody knows you and remembers you, because there's so much happening. There's so many new actors coming into the city. There's so much new content because of OTT that you need to be on someone's radar. So every time you do something, whether it's an ad also, you know, it's important to send it out to the casting director so that they know, okay, this is what you've done recently. So you have to constantly keep reminding people of your existence. It can get a little tedious, but I don't mind this part so much. Also, because knowing someone is just one part of it. You have to be competent at your job to get the job at the end of the day.
So just yeah.
No, say it. Then I'll say.
जो बात से की थी performativity वाली बात जो की थी. Do you feel like does that performativity kick in at these events, or generally when you have to like constantly socialize? And is there ever like that fear of missing out, especially for you when you've just moved to a new city and you are, you know, really just beginning to make all these contacts? फिर वो चीज़ कभी kick in होती है?
It's not so much about in one way it is performative, but in a pretty healthy way, and it's sort of a lot of self-talk that goes in before probably I enter a room to have a conversation with someone. And it's just those good reminders to yourself that, listen, babe, you're not a desperate person. So you're not dying for something. And the moment you're in that place, you tell yourself that you have confidence. And it's so funny because that's what works, you know. And even if you're feigning it, confidence is everything. Tomorrow there might be a person who's doubly skilled at than you are, but whether it's a job interview or even an audition, confidence is the, like, you know, it's the cherry on the cake that gets you the gig at the end of the day. So just you have to work. It's a mind game that you have to play with yourself. When you are going out to do something important, you have to tell yourself that you don't want it, because then it's only then that, you know, you're not trying very hard for anything. and you're confident, and you strike out, you stand out to the person who you're meeting, or if you're doing an audition. And then you're not like, under the burden and being nervous. So that's actually the key, the mind game that you play with yourself. As much as you want something, you have to tell yourself that, you know what, I'm not dying for it. It's good. I'm going to go meet a person, have a conversation, and come back.
You're asking.
And then they'll always
you're
tell
dying
you there's
for
something
it.
like, yeah.
I see the McKinsey kicking in because the first rule of negotiation is whoever is ready to walk away wins. Sajir, हमारी पाकिस्तान की राजीव मसंद है, इनको gossip चाहिए होती है. हम non-gossip question पूछ लेंगे without taking names. When you talk about meeting people with positive attitude, कोई है या कोई experiences हुए where you had high expectations of somebody and then you met that person and you're like, हाय नहीं मिलती तो बेहतर था. This person was better in my mind.
Yeah.
And I am the Rajiv. Okay.
So मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना, no names.
No names. Obviously, I won't give. Yeah. I mean, so much gyan I gave about confidence right now. I'm not going to break.
You can DM us the name later, though.
I want a ticket back and forth. Few days of food. Then I'll give you names. Food and travel are in my Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So once that is done, I'll give you like a whole yellow pages of names.
If you come to the US, then your stay and everything and food and stuff is on me, but you have to come here.
डॉर्म के कमरे में तुम रहती हो एक था.
नहीं तो यहाँ पे hotels भी तो हैं. Shazad, don't be an asshole.
No, I want to go to Pakistan. I don't want to go to. I don't want to come to US.
Yeah, Pakistan नहीं हो सकता, because like we also want to come to India, but like logistical मसले बहुत हैं. Like if I could come and camp outside, like Mannat I would, but like it's just how do I keep asking my friends over here who are Indian to sponsor my visa. Like every time I meet an Indian person, I'm like, please visa sponsor kar do, mujhe India जाना है. But बहुत like मसले हैं logistical भी.
Getting ousted from the house that I currently live in because ये क्या कहते हैं, it's an army area. So one of the questions that they ask you when you're moving in, and so the thing is, my father, again, we have family in India, and बहुत मतलब आने जाने का scene रहा है पूरी जिंदगी, and again like Bombay and like Baroda and all these other places as well. So they asked, one of the questions that they asked my dad was कि ये तो आपकी तो बहुत ज़्यादा India की visits है, and my dad, okay, like no fucks given to a fucking army man, he goes like, जी Allah ने सेहत दी तो और भी होंगी. I was just like, listen, I want to live in this house. I don't want people outside. But such is bad. But if it ever gets good, you come here, stay with me. अब जब इतना कर ही लिया, इतना we're living here only, might as well bring an Indian and keep them in these houses as well. Who's gonna know?
Ekta, you will go viral. Go to India and Mannat के बाहर वो एक placard ले लो के Shahrukh, please invite me for church party.
That would be the dream, though.
I don't understand that this is happening. Like I don't have to ask. It's going to happen. Like,
it's not even like, it's not even we're in on our heads right now. I give it a solid like 5 years. I need 2 years to like finish up my stuff over here. Or uske baad my whole aim in life is to meet Shahrukh Khan. Like I give it 5 years. I'll send you a picture from his library where his awards are that I've seen in interview.
Yeah. I know that shelf and everything.
Yeah. See, what is this? Shahrukh Khan is just, I don't know. Abhi, I was talking to somebody. I was sort of on a Zoom call with somebody who also acts in Bollywood, and at the end I was like, oh, do you have any like last thoughts and stuff? And they were saying something and I was like, yeah, sure. Like I was taking quotes from them for a project that I'm doing, and after that they were like, oh, do you want to say anything before leaving? I was like, can you tell Shahrukh Khan that I'm in love with him, and like if you meet him, just tell him that there is someone for whom Om Shanti Om is, and like I need to meet Shahrukh Khan. And he was like, oh, I'm meeting Shahrukh Khan in 2 days, and like I'll tell him. I was like, stop. And मुझे इतना बाद में बुरा लगा because I was like, इसको मैं like इससे interview कर रही थी, and at the end it just became about Shahrukh Khan, and like I'm an asshole, but it's fine.
I
think Shahrukh Khan is fair.
I can see that happening today as well.
That's what I said.
It's fair. Shahrukh Khan is fair game though. It's like universal. मतलब एक वो है ना एक जैसे people say church is like a sort of
gateway
communal activity that people do together. So Shahrukh Khan is also part of that like community activity.
Ekta treats anybody in Bollywood as a gateway drug to Shahrukh Khan. Joyeeta, let's make it about you again. What is that movie for you that is Om Shanti Om for Ekta?
Yes.
I think one of the recent movies, I mean, it's not even recent anymore, but I really love Rang De Basanti.
It's my favorite Indian movie of all time.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've never felt, there's a feeling that you felt when you left the movie hall that you have to do something.
You have to kill the chief minister. Yeah.
I didn't think I'd go to jail because of a Zoom call.
Really, Imran Khan.
Many wrong words. Too many wrong words in one Zoom call. But sure, I would do that. I'm the Bhagat Singh. I'm more from that school. More radical. Oh my God, many wrong things.
There's a Joyeeta like this is it. This is the last episode of the Pakistan experiment.
Make sure it doesn't come out in India.
काट देंगे यार अगर ज़्यादा issue है तो कोई problem.
Of course.
Yeah, but Rang De Basanti for me. What is it for you, guys? Really?
Rang De Basanti is my favorite Indian movie. I think मेरा childhood obsession was कुछ कुछ होता है. I think मैंने कोई 7-8 दफा वो movie देखी होगी. But अब sitting here knowing everything that I know about movies, I think I would rate Rang De Basanti as my #1 favorite Indian movie of all time.
Yeah.
I think favorite would be Om Shanti Om only because Ekta and I watched it under very specific conditions. But for me, one movie that really fucked me up was Highway. I watched that and the movie that convinced me that Alia Bhatt is an amazing actor and it was just such a brilliant watch. And मैं देख रही थी and I remember I was like, how are they talking about this? I was so shocked. I think, I don't know if like, maybe it was because of lack of exposure, but like a mainstream rising star, like tackling an issue like that, coming out, I think it was Imtiaz Ali, I believe, I'm not...
Imtiaz Ali.
Imtiaz Ali tackling that topic, and that is one movie that fucked me up in the best way possible because I was just like, shukar, koi ye baat kar raha hai, and it was very well made, I feel.
Yeah, I enjoyed. I mean, I really enjoyed Alia Bhatt's performance in that movie, and I was happy too that they were making a movie like that. But I think we have to stop being thankful to powerful people for finally talking about things that they should be talking about. It's more like it's too late already. And secondly, now that streaming has become the thing, and it's the age for writers, they say. I think it's also very important to not just put in issues for the sake of being woke or diverse. Because if they're not really dealt with well, it's almost as bad as not talking about the issue. So whether it's portraying a homosexual relationship in a show or, portraying the relationships between parents and children or between partners in any sense, I think it can't just be for the sake of it. Like I can't just like a film because they spoke about a gender issue that nobody has made a film about. It's not for me. It's not good enough to like a movie just because they picked on an issue. The movie itself has to be good where the writing has been thought about and there is depth to it, and it's not just for the sake of lip service.
Not to be contrarian, but that's what I felt about Highway. I felt the end was very unearned. I didn't see that in Alia Bhatt's performance throughout the movie. It came out of nowhere for me, at least. I didn't see it.
I want to really elaborate.
I particularly didn't enjoy the end as well of the movie. I mean, that's how this topic came.
I think Kapoor does a really good portrayal of Fawad Khan. It's nuanced. It's
yeah. Let's stop talking about Shahrukh Khan because I can meet people all the time and talk about him. Why don't we talk about Fawad Khan?
What is your take on Fawad Khan?
Okay. Guys, technicality situation. I have to run to class right now because I have a class in like 4 minutes. But this was great. And
you want to tell Joyeeta what she should tell Shahrukh Khan whenever she meets?
No. It's fine. We'll
will
meet
tell
him
Shahrukh
together.
Khan what I want to say to him. She's going to meet him before I do.
She's lying, Joyeeta. The moment we stop talking about Shahrukh Khan, Ekta's like, I'm out.
No,
I'm not interested.
No, I really want to talk about this like performative woke representation in Bollywood and tokenism. Like I really want to talk about it, but I have to run to class. And
Please study.
So I'm in anthropology and a gender, women, sexuality major. And I'm running to an archaeology class right now.
Oh, okay. And where do you study? Where in the
At a
US?
liberal arts college in the US.
Does it have a name?
It does. Can I say Sajir helps me with technical? Can I say the name?
The name.
What?
I'll text her the name.
Oh yeah, text her the name. I don't know. Sajir keeps telling me I can't tell people the name of my college, but
I thought you didn't know how to pronounce the name. Anyway.
So I will text you the name.
Thank you so much for this conversation. I'll be done in like half an hour ish. So if you guys are still on, I'd love to join back and contribute something besides Shahrukh Khan to the conversation.
Nice meeting you, Ekta.
Nice meeting you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
I think it's also हमारी जो woke sensibilities हैं, they बहुत one dimensional हो गए हैं. I had Madhavi Menon on the podcast, and she does a good job articulating how dostana, which we now see as problematic, not even dostana. What is the Kanta Behan wala kis kal ho na ho mitana? Yeah, that was also good representation, which a lot of people are very critical of, or bowling it's the butt of the joke, but at least it's a conversation starter. I don't think a Kapoor and Sons gets made unless a Dostana gets made. I don't think a Dostana gets made unless a Kal Ho Na Ho Kanta Behan scene occurs. So there's progress, and it's fine to be critical. It's fine to know what is problematic, but you can't also take the sensibility of today and wholeheartedly project onto the entire history of Bollywood.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that it shouldn't be so moral science, the approach of things, that let's be Miss Goody Two Shoes. Like, and let's look at a really funny example of Friends, okay? And they spoke about things way ahead of time, whether it was, again, like, love, whether it was anything, race, gender.
Chandler's dad was a cross-dresser. Ross's ex-wife was a lesbian.
Yeah, and then they weren't trying to be correct about it, because there are 6 people who have 6 different opinions about it, and you as the audience try to figure out what is the opinion that you want to have. So I think that's an interesting way to go about it. It's like making a women's film. You don't have to like show her like, oh, she was born in this situation and then she became a superstar. Like just show like normal day-to-day conversation and life of a girl, and you will get the women's issues. It doesn't have to be this banner. So I have a problem with how things are that way. I mean,
I think talking about, I feel like this is such an important conversation, because you're right. Like when I look at Dostana now, I'm like, oh, problematic. But like Dostana first came out, my entire family and I, we went to the theater, we watched it. And I think that is the first time in my house that the word gay was used, and not like usse pehle to use hi nahi hua tha wo word. We were like, it was just something that was never discussed. And then on the way back, like I still remember the car ride. Hum log we were coming back. I think we watched it in Cineplex. So वो CB वाला road जो है हमारा, like हम लोग उस पे जा रहे थे, and like we were making jokes. Like we were just like, oh, like this happened and like, oh, gay representation and whatnot. So that was the first time we actually spoke about it as a family, about the word, like even the idea of being gay, right? And I think that honestly is still something. Like it's starting a conversation in a setup that is opposed to those conversations, or may not conventionally have those conversations. Yeah. It's done its job, I feel, in that capacity.
And friends go for... Sorry, go for it.
So I think like when you mention family, I think it's such an important thing that we don't really care about, right? Because again, that's like an unorganized sector. Family is like Bollywood only, because there is no right parenting way, right? There are no standards that are set. So how a child is raised and how a family operates is something that is very individual specific in the private domain. Like some child must be getting hit by their parents, some father must be beating up some other, like I don't know, like anything could be happening. So there's no standard. So it's easy for us to be similar people and have a conversation on Zoom, but it's so much more difficult to have the same conversation at our dining table with our families. So I think, like you said, like, you know, our opinions about things keep changing with time, because we also start reading more and understanding more, and the morality of society also keeps changing in time. But I think it's most important to, like, you know, have conversations at the family level, because that's where your orientation with things begin, like your opinions begin. I mean, look at in India right now, it's peaking Islamophobia, and this is not something that just starts somewhere very late in life. I think the seeds of this are sown everywhere, not just Islamophobia, that's just an example, but of all kinds of prejudices or, you know, problems. They begin at the family level, where it's the first form of socialization. So it's so important to, you know, be able to, like, at least even bring up conversations. But it's not easy because you don't have any control of how things are going to turn up in the family.
Like Sajid is talking, progress is linear, right? Like friends को बहुत criticism मिलता है that ठीक है, you had lesbian representation but they were made fun of. ठीक है, you had a cross-dresser as Chandra's father but he was made fun of. Isn't that a good thing? When we talk about normalizing these things, the fact that Ross's ex-wife was a lesbian was never a thing. There was never a Friends episode के हाय अल्लाह ये क्या हो गया, हम तो बर्बाद हो गए. वो normal जिस तरह सबका मजाक उड़ रहा है उसका भी मजाक उड़ रहा है. They also have an equal seat at the table. It's not ideal, obviously. I'm not from the community, so I can speak to it.
Yeah, no, I don't think the joke was ever about two people being gay. The joke was about Ross always ending up in relationships that never lasted. So the joke was on Ross about how he's always unlucky in love. But, you know, so I mean, I don't see where the problem is again, but I'm happy to, like, you know, be enlightened by someone who feels differently though.
I mean, there are obviously certain tropes which are aged. जिस तरह मोनिका मोटी थी तो अगली थी, पतली होगी तो खूबसूरत होगी. Now that's an old trope that's been overused, and I get that why that's problematic. So I mean, Friends had its issues. I'm sure they made specific jokes about her being a lesbian as well, which we can't recall. But again, that's for the community to decide क्या offensive है क्या नहीं है.
Yeah.
Right, बिल्कुल. I think, I feel like again.
What are you guys watching right now that you all enjoy watching?
I just got into Ozark. I know I'm very late on it, but I just started Ozark, and it's credit to Jason Bateman that he is at the center of one of the greatest comedies that's ever been made. And now he's also at the center of one of the greatest dramas that's ever been made. So full credit to Jason Bateman for that.
Yeah.
What are you watching?
What did I last? I watched Inventing Anna last. I really enjoyed watching Maid, or was it Maids?
Yeah, I think it was pretty viral here as well. But with regards to, you know, there's Inventing Anna and then there's the Tinder Swindler. And I really want to ask, like, isn't Tinder Swindler basically just the script of Ladies versus Ricky Behel? Like, I just saw the trailer and it was ditto the script of Ladies versus Ricky Behel, and I was like, "It's Ranveer Singh kar chuka hai. Why are they making a documentary about it?" But
like, I mean, they keep doing that. There's going to be a documentary about. There's probably going to be a movie about the Burari deaths. That was a show on Netflix as well. So I think they keep changing the medium.
That show was truly freaky. मुझे कोई 2-3 दिन रात नींद नहीं आई. I felt like रात को मैं सो रहा हूँ और मुझे कोई दीवारों से आवाज आएगी कि बाबूजी कह रहे हैं तुमने उठ के पूजा करनी.
Yeah. It's very
although I do feel like the show was, even though the documentary was great in the sense that there was good storytelling, I didn't like I feel like बहुत लंबी कर दी थी उन्होंने. I feel like it could have been like a lot. Like, like, मतलब सही है, okay, I'm getting that these people died and you want to tell me how they died, but maybe it could have been a little faster. I feel like the editing was a little.
I liked it. मैं बहुत एक true crime nerd हूँ. Anything true crime, making a murderer, Jinx, I love to. CID बचपन में.
मैंने मुझे COVID हुआ. So like I was probably just in a shitty mood regardless, but yeah. Since I'm the only one left to contribute, I'm literally watching BoJack Horseman for the 16th time. I have a problem and I don't know kya hai, but it's just go-to. Like that, Friends, and Rick and Morty. Like I keep oscillating between these three shows.
I get why you have so much empathy for me, Sajid. I am basically BoJack Horseman. I said like ये तो मैं हूँ, ये मेरी जिंदगी में किसने बना दिया कार्टून. Thank you so much, Joyeeta, for this time. It was a lovely conversation. ऐसा लग रहा था दोस्त आपस में बात कर रहे हैं.
I'm like हाँ, okay, now we're talking. अभी क्या main क्या पूछना है, अभी पूछेंगे, अब तो हो गया, खत्म. यही था पूछना.
और क्या? फवाद खान पे आपने नहीं दी अपनी राय. वो उस वक्त I think एकता's exit precedence.
I don't know much about him, but he's obviously like, you know, very delicious to look at. So I'd rather meet him than Shahrukh Khan.
Yeah, so, Adil है मुश्किल, really bad movie, but you see Fawad Khan and you're like, ठीक है, पैसे वसूल करा दिए इसने.
है ना?
Yeah.
You know that
Fawad Khan को मिलने के लिए मैंने क्या कुछ नहीं किया यहाँ पे.
Sorry.
नहीं, go on.
Friends वाली episode.
Where Brad Pitt comes and Phoebe goes, like, you know, she sees him and she goes like, oh God, like, good job. Like, you know, when I see Fawad Khan, I'm like, good job.
For sure. Fawad Khan, beautiful.
But someone who you're in love with, Shahzad, sorry.
No, sorry, go on. Pehले Shahzad se pucho. I have one question that I'll ask you in the end.
Yeah, Shahzad, is there, who are you in love with?
Fawad Khan also.
Oh yeah?
Deepika Padukone in Bollywood is great. Katrina Kaif is great. I think most people are phenomenal. I also think Ranbir Kapoor is a very good actor, even though next to Fawad Khan and Adil hai mushkil, and Fawad Khan towers above him in their scenes together. I think Rajkumar Rao is excellent.
Have you watched Badai Do?
नहीं, but मैंने सुना है बहुत अच्छी है.
Yeah, I'm just about to watch it. One question that I had for Joyeeta was that, again, because we started this conversation with a suitable boy, and like you played such a key role in a suitable boy as well. What is it like working with Tabu? Like she is, I feel like if there's a woman that I would like, matlab, she ever needs a kidney, call me. Like just let me know. But मैं दे दूँगी उसको kidney. So like, what is working with her like? Because she's such an enigma, I feel. What is it like?
I feel this is deja vu because I think you asked me this in our interview.
Yeah.
So, see, I mean, I couldn't believe it that I'm going to, like, you know, I'm working with Tabu. And then when it happens, then, you know, it gets over and then you need a conversation like this, someone reminding you of, you know, what had happened, because then you don't even remember that you've gone through it. It's like I had done skydiving once and I don't remember that experience unless I like forcibly think about it. So I think the things that I'm most excited about, like I have to be reminded about it. So that just tells you that I was extremely, extremely, extremely excited to work with her, because I think she's one of those actors that I've loved in the movies from before. Like, you know, I didn't have to grow up and change my intellect to like a certain kind of cinema and appreciate a certain performance. No, like I've always enjoyed Tabu's performance from when I was young to like younger till now. So she's an icon. She is a true actor, true actor, great skills. And, you know, when you're working with her, you realize you realize how difficult acting is, and at the same time how easy it is, because there are things that are going on inside her body that she makes it look effortless. She just comes and does it, she slays it. But then I try to also do that sometimes in my life, and I completely fucked it up, because I thought effortless means effortless, but no, you're putting in the effort inside. And that's something that experience sort of, I'm sure, improves. And just the basic things, like she was always ahead of time on set. And that's maybe also a thing, like, because I've been reading a lot of autobiographies and all of that, I've noticed how, like, back earlier, like, you know, if you go back to Indian cinema, actresses talk about how they would always be on time in set, and the heroes would come like 5-6 hours later. They would do their own hair, they would do their own makeup. So I think that's a sense of discipline the actors from the senior actors continue to have even today, and that's something that she reflects. When the director would tell us that we are going to do this scene again, there would be some actors who would be like, oh, from the beginning, the whole scene. And they are younger actors, and you know, they would ask that. And I would notice how Tabu never like asked these silly questions, you know, because she knew that she's here to act and she will do it. And the most interesting thing that I noticed about, like, you know, how she would just conserve her energy, because, you know, one of the things that I didn't know about about acting was that the weight, you are paid for your time, not for the acting. क्योंकि acting तो free में कर दोगे आप. So, you know, between the shots, between things, there's so much time that you have to wait. And she's just sitting there patiently, not complaining, nothing, and conserving her energy. And so this is just, I think I picked up a lot from her, like in terms of ethics that you should have, in terms of professionalism, discipline, about being courteous to the people on set. Because again, set can be a very hierarchical place where here's the director, the actors, and then, you know, it's equal. It's not so much of a place for equal treatment. So I think I've learned the small things that are a true reflection of character. And of course, when it comes to craft, I was blown. So, and I'm sure any performance of mine that is anything, it's only credit is due to the co-actor. You know, it's fun. It's a game that you're playing at the end of the day. And if you have someone like Tabu to work alongside, I mean, you just have to really just go and be. You just have to respond, because she's so amazing. So I think she's ethereal. She's just fabulous.
That's so lovely to hear, because I genuinely think Tabu has been the number one, bar no one. Past couple of decades, there is just Tabu. And you know what we're talking about, Stanislavski, वो जब आप पढ़े तो वो लगता है ये 50 चीजें आप कैसे कर सकते हैं, but it's about honing your instincts over years and years till वो सारी जो चीजें वो automatically हुए. If विराट कोहली is batting, he's not thinking ball की speed क्या है, इसका action क्या है, pitch क्या है, spin क्या होगी, field क्या है. वो नेट्स में इतनी दफा खेल चुका है कि वो within a couple of seconds the instinct kicks in and he hits a perfect cover drive. That's what acting is as well. And Tabu's just, I mean, a seminal role like Gertrude in theater history, it's considered the role for women. Tabu was so phenomenal. And a mistake young actors make is they go for the definite answer. Acting is life. So Shahid Kapoor, Hamlet, or Gertrude, Tabu ka relationship, was it sexual? Was it platonic? Was Oedipus complex at play? We don't know, and you're not supposed to know. You're not. That's the whole point.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, that's
so
a great example. I mean, acting is life, and that's what almost everybody who I look up to keeps saying. Especially when you're like, you know, in my place, when you're starting out, when you're young, and you just want the formula. You know, teach me, I will do it. And I'm constantly being told that nobody can teach anything. Like when it comes to acting, it's something that you just learn. It's almost like magic. It's like having an orgasm also. Like, you know when it's happening, you know when you're in the character, you know when you're truly feeling it and it's a truthful performance, versus when you know कि अब तो नहीं हो रहा है, मैं acting कर रही हूँ. Like, you know, the funny thing about acting is that you shouldn't be acting, right? So I think constant, like, you know, this is the journey, like, you know, of constantly trying to find that truth, because it's hard when you know so many people are watching and you know that this is not the truth. how do you put yourself in that situation? But I mean, you asked me so many questions about process and method and all of that. What's your journey when it comes to that? I mean, are we out of time? Should I not be asking questions?
We have as much time as you want. Yeah, I think मेरा problem ये था कि so I was doing a lot of theater and I was doing films, dramas, इधर उधर, and then I went to the US to do my masters in theater, and I felt really debilitated by academia. I got so much into my head that I think the last 4 or 5 years, I've been so much into my head that I somehow prioritize that over my instincts. So that's why I asked you about modulation and modulating between the two, because I'm now coming into the process of where I've internalized all that so much that it's time to let go of all of that and get back into my body. So I'm working on my next play. Theater is the love of my life. So I will be working on that. But I'm really like always very interested in how other people see it. What are they working on? Because obviously you always learn from your peers.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to like sometimes dumb it down a little and remind yourself that you're a performer. You have to do. Like someone might be an art critic and know a lot about paintings, but they are not like, you know, that person is not an Amrita Shergill. The doer is the artist. Acting is essentially a physical art form. So no matter, I mean, and I'm not saying that padhai likhai is not important. Of course it is. I mean, it's the importance of it cannot be denied. But having said that, it's not enough to just intellectualize things. I think it's about doing it, because that's the difference between a good actor and a great actor. So I think it's just about using the body and physically performing it, because it's easy to know the steps in your head.
And it's a muscle like any other muscle if you don't use it.
Exactly.
And I think a very important lesson for young actors is, and Amir Khan did a mela. So allow yourself to fuck up. आपकी एक performance, दो performance जो बुरी होगी, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. उससे जो आपको help मिलेगी, that will be insurmountable.
Yeah, but I'm sure you're an incredible actor because you're gifted with humor, and I mean, having that skill is like another, you know, sort of a weapon that you have in your toolkit.
It's always, and this is a comedian thing to say, so I'm not even sure it's true, but we love saying this, that a comedy actor can do drama, but a dramatic actor can't do comedy. At least that's what we like saying.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing is comedy. Because everything else you can over exaggerate and all now, but comedy is like, I think the hardest thing. I would love to do that. I mean,
उसमें styles are right. Like I love Andaz. Andaz Apna Apna is my favorite comedy movie of all time. Not even Bollywood. It's over the top, but I love the fact that it's over the top.
Yeah. It's a funny film. Yeah.
Even the music is so Dil karta hai tere paas aao. Even the music is phenomenal in that movie.
Yeah. I think the music of older movies is so much better, like 50s, 60s. I had been tripping on it, like, you know, in the lockdown. I was just like, their whole stories, the whole, like a song was written, there would be songbooks for older Hindi movies. They would have songbooks. And I was so I tried to move to Bombay last year. I came for a month, and because of the second wave, I went back. I had booked an Airbnb, and I was living there for a month, and it was such a funny coincidence that the owner of the house, she is almost an 80-year-old woman who's the daughter of Bimal Roy, the famous Indian filmmaker who had made Madhumati and Devdas and so many amazing movies with Dilip Kumar. And her husband, her ex-husband, was Basu Bhattacharya, who made Tisri Kasam and those other movies. So there were all these movie posters and those old film fairs, and she showed me their songbooks. So back in the day, you know, they would write the songs in Urdu and in Hindi, and they would produce a songbook with the lyrics, and there'd be the poster of the upcoming movie later behind at the back. So it's funny because now the songs are just like 2-3 words that are constantly being repeated for TikTok music. Yeah. Okay.
Do I ask you both a very depressing question? Both of you. It's gonna. I think it's so depressing, but like, so you know, with so many artists that have passed away, you know, Joyeeta, like you working in the industry, like there are people like Irfan Khan who's no longer there. People like, you know, even Sushant for that matter, like all of these people have passed away. Like, who is that one actor? And this is for both of you, like Shazad, you as well. You can weigh
that we wish doesn't die anytime soon. Is that the question?
That you wish like you had worked with, has passed away or is no longer working, that you wish you had worked with?
Irfan Khan maybe comes to the top of my mind. I love him. He's so good.
Okay.
Yeah, I current crop में से पूछ लो. I think that's a much better question. Even when we're talking about craft, मैंने Scam 1992 देखा. Now the script of that is quite Bollywood, right? If it was a Ranveer Singh or if it was a Varun Dhawan saying इश्क है तो रिस्क है, वो believability खत्म हो जाती. But you listen to Pratik Gandhi and you're like, ये आदमी यही है, इसी तरह बात करता है. So to build to that level, to get these really over the top hyperbolic Bollywood dialogues and deliver them like वो तो हाँ ये इंसान ही इस तरह की बातें करता है. I think he's done a phenomenal job. He's quite underrated.
Yeah, no, but actually I think he's slated for many things. I've been hearing and seeing that there's this project that he's doing and that project that he's doing. So I think his dates are all blocked.
Editing table पे फंसे हुए हैं फिर सारे.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, nothing that we've seen, but I have been reading about this project and this movie and all of that. So I know that there are things on the table.
So who's alive that you're excited to work with? ताकि हम इतना depressing ना करें इसको.
In India,
yeah,
obviously.
नहीं, फवाद खान तो हमें पता है. उसके अलावा.
I would want to work with Alia Bhatt. I would want to work with Tilotama Shome because I really love her. I recently worked with Shahana in this short film, Shahana Goswami, in the short film that I shot for. So I was really happy about that because I really love her too. Yeah, these are the names that come to the top of my mind. Yeah, I look out for their movies. I mean, there are lots of actors who I like. I love Amrita Subhash. I love Madhuri's acting again. I would love to act with Madhuri. Yeah, these are the ones.
Okay. Interesting.
Sajid, who would you like to work with?
Me? Who would I like to? Who do you think? Shit. Okay. Apart from Shahrukh Khan, okay, I'll tell you, I've thought about this very strategically. I want to do a bunch of LSD and go work with Salman Khan because I feel like that experience would be so trippy. Like, I just want to trip while working with Salman. The movies don't make any sense. I want to be a part of something nonsensical. I just want to go have fun, come back, become friends with Bhai, like go back, chill with him at his farmhouse in the most platonic way ever. And I think that is what I would.
Just do yourself a favor and call an Uber on the way back.
Yeah.
Sajid is too funny.
But yeah.
Mad. A total pugly.
Thank you.
Joyeeta, it's been quite fun talking to you. और अब तो हमें लग रहा है बस हम घर में बैठे हुए हैं और आपस में बातें कर रहे हैं, and we can do this all night. But hopefully we can have you back and continue these discussions.
Yeah, sure. That'll be great. I had fun too. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I still can't believe it's over. Like it was over 10 minutes ago. But yeah, it's been fun. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, Sajid, for hooking me up with your buddy and creative genius out here. So it was really fun.
We're all fans of you here. Thank you so much for doing this, and let's stay in touch.
You didn't know who I was like 5 minutes ago.
You didn't know who I was 5 minutes ago as well. मैंने नहीं देखा Suitable Boy. मैंने देखना है. It's on my calendar, but I really do want to watch it. I love Mira Nair's work.
I am a fan though. I saw you and I absolutely fell in love with you, and I knew कि मैंने reach out करना है. And but imagine my surprise when she genuinely turned out to be so nice and so receptive, and she knew what Mango Bars was, which was very surprising. But I think it's been lovely. Every time I talk to you, it's been absolutely.
And it's also when you talk to somebody, you figure out कि अच्छा ये सही कर रहे हैं जो कर रहे हैं, and I can tell you're doing the right things.
Yeah, but no, we are having our career conversation. Don't forget to schedule it for next week.
You and my therapist both, I think I need to have that conversation with.
She also needs to change. I mean, your therapist, he or she also needs to change their career.
नहीं, मैंने बहुत उनको बिजनेस दिया है. जब तक मैं पागल हूँ, I think उसका बिजनेस सेट है, उसका कोई टेंशन नहीं है. It's like that TikTok. Shazad gets a new mental illness. Money.
Yeah, I also had a review session, okay, with my therapist 2 days ago. And I sent her a meme at the beginning of the thing. And that was my partner sent me this meme to send it. Like everyone is in on this. And it was like of a monkey, which is the therapist going on, like nodding the head, saying that, like, you know, my therapist listening to me talk about the same problems again and again. And I'll share this with you. You can share it with your therapist.
मेरी लाइफ की सबसे बड़ी अचीवमेंट्स होती है when I manage to make my therapist laugh. I'd be like, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ajit.
Right.
Thanks, Joyeeta. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Take care.